computer. Is it recording? All right, what's up, guys? It's your boy Steve on the NDO Podcast. I got my guy Cullen Donovan, former pro. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but current trainer, advocate, trying to empower the youth, and he's doing a great job with it. Actually, I met him through pickup from my boy. I think Ant Simmons brought him down, and I was like, "Yo, this dude could hoop." And now we're kind of like in the same lane, trying to help inspire the next generation. So, what's up? How you doing, Steve?
What's up, man? How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah,
Excited to get this going.
yeah, no doubt, no doubt. So, just to start off, like how I always do my interviews, I have them, tell their story. So you can start from wherever, from the love of the game for yourself, where it developed, where your journey is. Literally, like I've interviewed pros all the way to I'm trying to get more coaches, but I did one trainer. So like the whole purpose of the podcast for me is just like being able to get people to tell their stories, because you don't know who's watching, who's listening, and at the same time everybody's journey is different. So if one kid could potentially hear your story and be like, oh, he went through this, I'm going through something similar, or this other person went through, like, that's the whole purpose of me doing this, because I want to build a community together with basketball coaches, trainers, players, and get it to the point where it's just like, just, I think it's just too businessy right now instead of actually getting back to the root. But anyway, we'll get into that. But like, go
Now
ahead.
that's real. That's real, man. Because like I never, at a young age, you don't really realize how big of a business it is. Like when you get into sports, and when I got into basketball, I didn't really pick up how big the industry is. And now that you're older, and now that I'm older and trying to navigate myself through this world, which is crazy, but you kind of, some people get away from the love of the game and try and go money hungry into trying to get, oh, I'm working with this dude, or I'm training this guy, all names and everything, rather than going back to just the love. And that's where I found it. That's where I got into basketball, and that's why I still, when I know I'm not loving it anymore, then I'm gonna step away. But right now I still love it, so I'm gonna continue trying to empower people around me. And but going back to when I fell in love, like I was started playing at had a basketball when I was younger at like 3, 4, but then I didn't start playing on my first team till like third grade. I was playing multiple sports, like 4 or 5 different sports: flag football, basketball, soccer, baseball. And then just basketball, I could just go out and practice on my own. So I think that was the biggest thing. I could just get better. And you constantly saw the ability to get better at a young age, and just, oh, wow, I can hit shots from here now, or I can dribble. I'm getting better at dribbling. So I think just the continuous improvement over the years kind of just wanted me to continue to try to see where I can go with it. And growing up in middle school and high school, I just got to play pickup all the time with some of my buddies. We were at the park from 9 a.m. to 5, 6 p.m. at night some days, just hitting up some of my buddies, and we just hooping, brought people together. And that's where the love of the game came from. And then middle school, there was times where I was playing for 2 different teams, rec team and travel team, and I didn't really play. So I was sitting on the bench watching guys ahead of me play. But I just loved it so much. I just kept trying to get better, and it brought a sense of community, playing for teams, being a part of something at a young age. And I think I've been on a team since I was in third grade, actually. So I think since last year, I was with a team in Ireland, and just being a part of a team and being around people. I think that just wanted me to continue to have that environment. So, and then after middle school, I just kept trying to get better and better. I played for some AAU teams, and AAU coach was a big influence on my life, which I definitely could have played for different AAU teams when I was younger, jumping around to different clubs and stuff like that. But I know that my coach, I played for the same AAU team, Connecticut Premier, for like 5 years. And we weren't the greatest, but it was just a chance that the coach gave me time and would show up at the park and just be there for me and stuff like that. I wanted to get better. And he was a new coach in basketball, didn't play at a high level, didn't do that, but he showed his time and appreciation for me. So I think like that was the big thing that caught me, that when I needed someone to talk to, he was there. And I know there's times, I know players, coaches, you've been through it. Like a lot of these kids need some mentorship because they're gonna have bad days. Basketball, you better love it because it's gonna be hard. There's gonna be some good days, bad days, but if you want to get better with it, or you just want to do it for fun, like you can, like that's the best part about sports. It's a game at the end of the day, so you enjoy it and we just keep moving. So Coach Mike was a big influence in my life and still is today. High school, I played JV freshman and was at Weathersfield High. And then varsity towards my junior and senior year, I was a captain my senior year. We weren't the greatest. I didn't start getting I'm a lot better now than I was in high school. So I just continued.
I could say the same exact thing.
A little late developer. That's all good.
Well, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So I just continue to work and get better. I played Division III basketball at Rivier University. It was Rivier College when I first went there, so it's in New Hampshire. That's one thing that caught me off guard, is that I didn't know how to get to college or university when I was younger. So I think I didn't set specific goals for myself of where I wanted to go. And I just said, hey, listen, I want to go play college basketball. So I wasn't really specific at a young age. Like a lot of these kids now, just, I want to do this, or before, like were specific. They had mentors around them that knew where to go. Like my mom, my coach, he was new to the game new word to the game, and he didn't really have the connections that some AAU clubs or high school clubs had or something like that. So he just helped me with my goal of getting to college, and that's what we did. And then when the times came, that's where I had different Division III looks, and I wanted to just go there and play college basketball, get an education. And I studied business management. I tried going in as a teacher, and listen, world goes all over, but I'm still teaching the game today, which is the best part. So I think that's where I took the education side of things into basketball and teach life lessons. So I kind of took that route after college and went to I worked for a hoop group after graduating from college. I knew I didn't want to get into a 9-to-5 through a business, sit at a chair for the rest of my life for next 40 years. Wow. So I was like, listen, I'm going to grind it out in basketball, see where I can go with it. And I sent out the spring of my senior year, right after our season. I know college, we weren't the great. I had weren't the greatest as well, but it's all good. We kept going, and we had some great games, some good wins, and all that stuff. It was some friends for the rest of my life. It was fun. And then after college, when I went to hoop group, I was sending emails just like getting to college. I contacted to get into college, I was sending out 300 emails to different colleges around, and then same thing after college. I kept sending out emails to different places, and I ended up getting a chance to go work down a hoop group at the skills camp, and I had to work to see if I was going to be able to work for them, and I ended up working there, meeting some coaches, surrounding myself with basketball. So I think just the story of life right now is just to surround yourself. If you have a dream or you're trying to do something, surround yourself with good people. Like we're the average of the 5 people we talk to hang out with the most. So I think just being able to surround yourself with good people, good family, and if you have a mentor, ask them questions, reach out to them. Don't be scared. Don't fear anything. And that's what I did. I took a leap of faith, flew over to Ireland after meeting a coach at Hoop Group, and I coached there as a player development coach, helping youth club, coaching the elementary school team, secondary school, which is their high school, and then coaching the club academy on the weekends. And then I was also helping out the National League team, which is the second division over there in Ireland. So it was like kids from 16-year-olds up to 35, 40-year-old guys who show up, play practice 2 times per week and then have games throughout the up and down the coast of Ireland. So I did that for like 9 months, came back, worked some basketball camps, and then I went out, flew again over to Thailand, and I coached there for 4 months. And I met a guy from in Ireland. He was coaching, Matt Van Pelt. He was coaching in he's over in Asia now, and at the he's an Asian assistant basketball coach for the Saigon Heat, and he was a player, international pro, and he coached, was a player over there in the 2nd division. I reached out to him, said, hey man, I'm trying to continue travel and see what this ball can do for me and see what this game could do for me. And he helped me out, got me in a basketball academy over there. And I just continued to network and meet people and connect with, there's people from Europe, from Asia, from Coach Ike, who played for the LA Lakers, and it was his basketball academy. And then I flew over to New Zealand after that. So my basketball journey is all over the place, Steve. But I just, hey, just know I had a love for it, and I know I'm just rambling, and it's not this whole thing is a lot, but I also had basketball blessed me to go back to Ireland and go to New Zealand, and it's been a whirlwind, but I'm gonna see where it could take me, man. My bad, I was rambling around.
Nah, no, bro. Like the whole point of this is for you to like actually go into details about that. I mean, like there's a lot of times I wanted to jump in and just be like, I want you to go more in depth with that, like. There's a lot there you touched upon, from, surrounding yourself with the people that you're, good people, to, your experience in Ireland and what led you to that point, and your journey on how, you dealt with, some things that you didn't really get into, which I want to, I'm going to ask you right now, but, which is, your trials and tribulations, meaning, like I said, you don't have to get personal, but just like things that the roadblocks you faced to get to that point within the basketball industry. Because like we talked about, the business part is one thing, but just to be able to make this a living, right, in terms of either training, coaching, it's a lot of work. And I think every player really wants to be a pro until they find out what pros do. Mm-hmm. Right? They say, oh, I want to go to the NBA, or I want to go to D1 college. But do you know how much work you need to do to get to that point? Do you not hear the stories of like a Harrison Barnes who hasn't had the most successful career? I mean, I'm not knocking him. He's in the NBA still. He's a great player. But in high school, he woke up every day like 6 a.m. before school, made, I think it was like 500 or 1,000. It was one of those numbers, shots. And then he ended up being like one of the top recruits going to North Carolina, like things like that, just to get there. And then I don't think he even killed in college. But the whole point is, to get to where you want to go, you have to have a different work ethic. And that's one thing from your experience, what you're talking about right now. I think is one takeaway is just your work ethic and how hard you work. Like you said, you have to network, you have to email people. You said 300. That's a lot of emails. Like kids wouldn't think like, oh, I'm not writing 300 emails. That's an example of how hard or how bad do you want it. Like if you want something, right, you have to work that hard. So yeah, let's take that step back. Like for kids, well, it's a little different environment now, obviously with COVID, right? But the principles of what you did don't change, right? You reached out to 300 coaches just to see if you can find a school, right? You're lucky you had a coach that cared about you, which is also rare. Like not every coach is like that. They're usually looking out for themselves. So let's go into that a little bit. Let's say like, what was your biggest roadblock as a high school player, from a development side and in terms of skill set, and then that moment where you're like, I want to go to college with this, like, so let's talk about that. So what was your hardest thing? What was the biggest thing that you struggled with in high school? And then when you decided to say, I want to go to college, what was also your hardest thing to get to that point?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think my biggest roadblock was not being like going back, not being specific enough and not having an idea of how to become a better player. Like there was times where at high school I was getting up at 6 a.m. my senior year, going to health tracks right down there in Newington and getting shots up, and then going to school, going to practice, coming back, and then going to hoop at 8 or 9 at night. But I think it was just being able to be specific on how to develop my skills. I think that that was the biggest thing. Like I didn't know how to go about doing that, but I was just going out hooping, and then also if my grades as well. That was one thing that you don't realize. The NCAA clearinghouse is a lot more important your junior and senior year or something like that, passing different grades for those that are a little bit better. And also another thing is I was a 5'8" guard and not quick enough in my sophomore junior year. So there's a lot of things that I think it's not just one. I can't pinpoint on one specific thing, because to be an athlete at that age, you have to be well rounded. You can't just it doesn't take just one thing. Like it's a whole bunch of factors that come into play.
Sorry.
So
sorry to cut you off, but like
you good.
Yeah, no, what you're saying right now, like that's the reason why I'm also bringing it up is like your view of the game is different now too. So when you really think back and reflect on yourself, you're like, yeah, I could have been better at this. I could have definitely, like you're really nitpicking right now.
Yeah.
And so that's something like players now, I would say they do because they have access to it, right? Because of social media, they see like a guy like PJF talking about, oh, you can lift this to help you get faster or jump higher. And then you have a DJ Sackman, Drew Hanlon give you drills. We didn't really have that growing up per se. We may have had a couple of DVDs or we learned from camps, but you know, like you said, like I was there with you, but go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I mean, I was still working, bro. Like, and that's the thing, you still work, but just there's some people that are put in a better situation as well, and like trying to become. If we say I played for, like I tried getting some of my guys I played high school ball with, they fell off and didn't want to work or didn't want to get better. So our team wasn't as good either. So there was times where kids just didn't want to get in the gym and get extra shots, and it's not just one person. It wasn't just one person trying to do everything, which I could have got a lot better and sacrifice some things. But I mean, that was for high school. And then knowing for going into college is maybe just taking a chance and going to play for AU team or a coach that had certain connections, because it is a business or has the ability to reach certain areas. But it wasn't even just that. I just think I was a D3 player at the time. There was nothing wrong with that. Like, but that's me putting self-limits and beliefs. I think if I became a better shooter, or got a lot faster or a little bit better with my skills, I could have played at a different level. But at that time in my life, and for right now looking back, I was a Division III player, and because I loved the game and I wanted to continue to play with it. So I think I definitely, if I put more effort into it or had a different direction or surrounded myself with a coach with contacts, but I mean, I didn't want to do that, because I liked my coach, and he cared for me, and I liked the support that we had and stuff like that. So I got my dream to continue to play college basketball. So like I was good with that.
Like I'm saying, like there's nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah.
Like it's a learning experience, you know. Like I could say I'm the same way. Like I wish I had maybe a coach that was well connected and blah blah blah, but like like I said, everything happens for a reason. We go through what we go through in order to help us persevere forward. And like I said, I think the best thing we can do as a people is to help the next person that wants to do this. So going back to your story, when was it in high school that you realized you were like, all right, I want to go to college for this? And then what was your process? What did you have to do that was different? Like you said, like, and I'm not trying to pick on you, but like, you said you were 5'8", not overly quick. You can shoot the ball, but like, it's going to be hard to like and you're not playing on a bigger scale, right? So like, what did you have to do to outwork somebody else who could get to the same school or a different school than you? Like, what did you do? Because it sounds like I said, you sound like you worked really hard. And there's a lot of people that are like that work hard, but there also has to be that balance of working smart and understanding, how to go about the business, which is, like you said, you didn't have a plan, you weren't detailed enough. And that's something you learned now. And now you can help the kids you coach and push them in that direction. So when was, like I said, when was that moment you realized that? And then what did you do?
Well, as funny, because in middle school, my 4 of my best friends, Brandon, Sammy, and I, we were sitting at Tim Hortons in 7th and 8th grade, and we were like, "Hey, wouldn't it be nice to go play college ball or something like that?" And then like, it was just like coffee shop right down the street from after school in 8th grade. We right before a travel game or something like that, and then it's just so thoughts were in my head, just like, "Hey, listen, like, and we could do this, or I could do this." And then towards sophomore year, I was like, all right, I reached out to my AU coach, Mike, to say, hey, I want to play college basketball. And we sent out, he's like, all right, so we got to contact a whole bunch of schools, set up an email template and prepare that and then target specific schools that you're interested in trying to go to. And by sophomore year, you kind of have an idea of if you're a Division I player, for people who aren't late developers, or so guys who don't get the late. So it's just like, hey, you could start keep an eye on what schools you're interested in and stuff like that. And so I just started sending out emails and highlight tapes, recorded some videos and stuff like that at the time off a video recorder. So we didn't have cell phones that could do that. I mean, I know it's a lot you want, but, and then I just continued to reach out and I went to some camps, some clinics, all that stuff. And I went to Hoop Mountain at the time. I went to, and then I just some 5-star camp and just tried to surround myself and to try and reach my goal and just go. And I had a lot of people try and help me out, and then continue to work and see what could happen, bro. And it's tough thinking back now of the process and thinking about like where you are and where you got to today. It's just it's a weird thing to take in, but it's needed to be said.
No, and that's what I'm like. See, like this is, and it, like we're having this conversation now. You're reflecting. You're like, damn, that's crazy. I could have did this differently. This could be where this would have been where I went if I did this. But like I said, like you got to be at peace with that. You got to be okay with where you are, because like I said, things happen for that reason, where it's just like, you wouldn't be who you are today if you didn't go through that, right? You wouldn't have the perspective you have if you didn't go through that. And that's the thing. Like I tell my kids now, like I'll be like, they're like quick fun story. Like I had this training session the other night, and I still talk a lot of trash to my kids, and they, at the end, sometimes I have them play. So I had 5 kids in the group. I was like, all right, I'll play. We'll keep it 2-on-2-on-2. So it put me and one of my players together, and then 2-and-2. Like these are all, varsity guys in high school. They're all really, they're solid. And, we're playing, and the score is, I said game 7, it's 6-4-0. And my team I have 0, because I was letting my player try to incorporate, get some work in. I missed a couple of shots too. I missed like 2 shots. It's 1 shot too. Anyway, so I was still talking trash, and my one player goes, "You played pro ball?" And I was like,
"Oh,
what?" And then I got triggered. I was like, damn, all right, they don't. Like, and then boom, I went 7. I didn't hit 7 straight, but we got lucky. We hit a couple of shots, and then I ended the game on the kid who said that, where I hit a step back NBA 3. I didn't even look at the shot going in because it felt good. I just started screaming, you better recognize. And then everybody in the gym started laughing And then he was like, man, he goes after, he's like, well, now I believe your resume. Like, I believe in it. And I'm just like, I don't, the issue is for me, it's like some of these kids don't understand, like, I could still hoop, but two, I've been through it. Right. And just because, I don't do it anymore, it doesn't mean like you should think less of me. And because of my experiences, like I wasn't as good back then as I am now. Even when I played in Canada, like I'm a better player now at 29 than I was at 23. Was it? No, that was 5 years ago. So I was 24 as a rookie in Canada. And I was limited because my thing I was comfortable with shooting.
Yeah.
Now I can dribble and have better footwork, and I see the game a lot differently. The game's slower, so I can manipulate my defender. And I'm like, damn, bro, if I had this in college, if I had this in high school, I'd be a mid-major. I know the type of guy I am. I would have been a mid-major hooper, maybe a low mid-major. But like I said, my path happened because of what I did, and I can't change that, but now I can instill that in the next generation. So the whole spiel with that little short story was just like, you go through what you go through in order to help the next kid who may be going through the same thing, or maybe help guide them in the right direction. So now just to go off of that, like, so how'd you come to Riviere? What was that, what happened there?
So I forgot the showcase I went to, but I went to a showcase and I ended up getting a letter back from Division III coach, Coach Morissette, my college coach. So he ended up coming to see me my senior year, and when he went to 2 different games, I did well in the first game. We played Enfield High, and he met my AAU coach who was at the game just watching, and they built a little relationship as well. And then I ended up, which basketball is about relationships at the end of the day. So that's what it's about. So you got to be a good person off the court for people to enjoy you. It's not just about how good you are as a basketball player. You have to be a good person at the end of the day. Be respectful. That's what basketball does. It teaches those life lessons. I had to give that part. I had to say that point.
That's a gem.
I had to drop that real quick.
I think I'm gonna have to put that on IG now.
Hey, we can, brother, and I'll share it out, bro.
We'll put that clip on IG.
Yeah.
Go ahead, my fault. Go ahead.
No worries. But so them two built the relationship, and I just continued to. He was a coach that just contacted me the most and was just showing me the love and support. So, and he came to a second game and I played terrible, but I was just like, hey, whatever, it's all good. I ended up just going to that school and committed there after my senior year, and played there for 4 years. And the thing is, going into college, I didn't know what to expect. I had no, and that's the biggest thing, certain depending on the levels, or you reach out to certain people and you try and get into certain ideas. You put ideas in your own head and you don't realize what you're getting yourself into. And it wasn't necessarily a basketball school, which that kind of caught me off guard. And that was the thing that I wish I put more effort into being a leader, into trying to develop the people and put in that extra work ethic too, as well, to continue to build our team and grow and develop. So, I mean, college was a great experience there. I met some amazing people, some coaches, some friends for life. And we were good, but we didn't have a recruiting class the year ahead of us. So it was kind of tough.
Yeah.
So, but the process was fun. We got to travel to different parts of Florida my freshman year and go to Orlando with the team and play against. So it was fun. I D3 basketball, those guys play don't listen. There's some nice top, I remember visiting a game who Lamont Thomas, who was the leading scorer for Johnson and Wales his senior year. It was he played over in Spain last year in the LAB Silver, but he was scoring 41 points per game at Johnson and Wales. But it was my senior year in high school, and I didn't watch the game, and Riviere ended up beating Johnson Wales at that time, but Lamont didn't play. And I was mad because I wanted to see him go off for like 40 something points or something like that. Like this guy was like, I heard I didn't get to see him play, but I wish going in there could have checked him out. But I mean, it's just basketball, you gotta just see different things, meet some people, and I think that's the best part about the game that I took out of. And I was a leader on my team, and I wanted to continue to share. I think that was my best attribute going in, and that was the one reason why the coach recruited me, was because of my IQ and an understanding of the game. Like I said earlier, I wasn't most athletic at that time, wasn't the best shooter, which if you can develop those skills, you can play. But there's also other things that come into play, is the basketball understanding and being able to pick up and develop your teammates and being a good person at the end of the day. And that's what I brought to the table. I was a good teammate. Because I loved and cared for them.
Yeah, no, that's one of the most important things as well. Like that, that's another gem. Like the importance of being a good teammate. Like it's talked about it a little bit. Like I'm on Twitter, like a lot of coaches, Gino the other night was talking about, because Paige is like, she's different. Paige Buchers. If you guys don't know who are listening to this, she's a freshman at UConn, but the illest hooper. Like the confidence, the skill set is ridiculous. She's going to be the next UConn great, but he said that you have to be a star at your role, right? If you got to be, and this is the other thing too, it's just like being self-aware, right? Understanding who you are. All right. Now, this is the other thing. I agreed with it, but also I didn't, because the fact that, yes, as a coach, you have to worry about the team dynamic, but that shouldn't stop you from developing your game. Right. And that's one of the biggest things I have an issue with, because I don't think you hear coaches talk about that enough. And like you hear coaches say, oh, you're just a shooter. Like, make sure you perfect that.
Correct.
No, like, yeah, no, I'm not saying don't sharpen your tool, your strongest tool. What I'm saying is, it doesn't hurt to show the other tools that are like a little rusty, clean them off a little bit. Like, because you don't know what you might do in a game situation. You don't know. Yes, this is your role, but look, your point guard might foul out. And if you're a shooter and like they need you in the game, you may have to handle the ball a bit. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? So that's the one thing I don't particularly like. But to his point, like, I love the fact that he harped on, you have to be the star of your role. So if that's being a good teammate and this, that, I mean, I know I went through it. I did it. And like I said, like you said, like the people that we played ball with are like our bros for life, no matter where it takes us. I have teammates playing pro ball right now, but we still check in on each other. Like my boy Amadou, I did an interview with him way back especially during quarantine. He came back from country because of COVID. And, like to this day, like he was the first guy I met my sophomore year, like for first incoming freshman, and we were in the gym working out. Like, and I'm a walk on, and I'm like, yo, I need to play. Like and he was like, come on, Steve, let's work. And, that stuff doesn't, go away. Those are memories we have forever. I have a picture of it too, of us in the gym. It's crazy. But the whole thing is, like I said, it's a family, like you said, relationships. That's what it's all about. Damn, I went on a rant and I'm trying to figure out where I was going with this.
Good teammate and stuff like that.
Yeah, the role. Yeah, Gino. Yeah. So, but he was saying like the person who brings he's relating it to like a piano player or something. Like the person who brings the piano on stage is just as important as the performer. Just the performer gets paid the big bucks.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it
makes sense. Yeah. Like, and one thing that I've found out, is that every team you play for, or not necessarily every team, but a lot of teams you play for, you all take on different roles, and you become a leader for one team. you become a teammate. You might be a guy who's a hype man cheering on some different guys. Other time you're going to be the star player. Next time you're going to be the guy who just gets people involved. So you got to be willing to adjust to with your surroundings, but also be ready for that chance. Hey, this is my time. I'm ready to go. And so, yeah, I mean, but being a good person, being a good teammate is effective in any industry you go to. Being a good, anything. And that's the great thing about basketball. Can teach you those life lessons.
Yeah, life lessons. That's why I love sports as a metaphor to life, but I love basketball in particular because it's in my opinion the greatest sport in the world. It incorporates so many aspects. You can look at it as your coach being your boss, understanding how to take instruction. Then within that, you have a group of guys that you're cool with, but some you may not particularly like a lot, right?
Yeah.
Like more than others. Or there's just, like you said, you develop into a leader. So everyone's looking to you. So now there's pressure there. You got to make sure you hold yourself to a high standard. So it's just different things, little different dynamics that show up, which is, I like how we brought this up. It's kind of dope. And, I like I said, for me personally, I experienced that. So I don't want to go, it's not about me right now, but that I experienced that thing. But now fast forward, I want you to talk about your travel experiences. People don't understand, the best thing in the world is to be able to travel and see the world and incorporate basketball within it. Whether you're coaching, whether you're going to learn about the game, my favorite, I just was posting this on IG yesterday, was my clips when I went to try out in Lithuania. It's one of those moments, one of those memories I'll never forget. It cost me a lot of money, to put myself in that situation, and I got seen. Things didn't work out. Thought I played really well, but it was still one of the most memorable moments of my playing career, because I got to play basketball in a different country, got to see what the pro life was like. But besides that, talk about your experience being a coach and being like I said, a pro, being able to play. And like I said, my definition of being a pro is you're getting paid in a league, especially outside the NBA, and you're able to sustain and make a living off of it. I think that's my definition. You don't have to make the most money, and you don't have to play the best competition. But if you're there and you're playing with that FIBA ball and there's refs, I consider that a pro. That's and people might disagree with that. And I'm up for that conversation. I would love that conversation, because that's a conversation that needs to be had amongst everybody. Right. Like I said, and then the one story, I brought this up before we started talking, came back from Canada, and one of the first jobs I got was being a ref. Helping my high school coach. I was reffing it, Stanford Peace. And I made a couple calls. One of the coaches was pissed off at me. So of course,
figures.
Yeah. One of the kids, I don't know if he was he was a kid. He might have been my age, maybe a little younger. And I forgot how the conversation happened. He was like, "Oh yeah, man, that was a tough call." I'm like, "Hey man, I've seen it called a couple of times. It's the call I thought I made." He was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Do you play ball?" I was like, "Yeah, I actually just got back. Played pro in Canada." He goes, "I don't consider Canada professional basketball." And I was just I just looked at him I'm gonna let you have that.
Keep stepping.
Yeah, I was just gonna be like, bro, I got paid for it.
You have no idea.
You don't know the journey that I've been on to get that contract to say, you're a professional basketball player in this league. My story, my grind, there's I did a camp in New York, and that camp I did really well. Our team won the championship. It was 6 teams. And our whole team, because we played so well, got invited to a tryout camp in Ohio. And the camp was that weekend. So that was a Tuesday. I had to be in Ohio for Friday. Right. I couldn't afford a flight. I took an 18-hour bus ride to Ohio by myself.
Wow.
went there, killed, right? I wouldn't say killed, but like it was a lot of competition. I was like, holy crap, this is good. Then literally 2 weeks later, like, oh, we're inviting you to our combine in Canada. We'll pay for your flight.
Word.
Yeah, we'll get to Canada, pay for your flight,
Yeah.
and we'll take care of the hotel, housing, other stuff. And you know, Eric was on the same boat with me. Eric got an invite too, and you know, me and him were like representing, you know, Stanford, Connecticut, which was
Yes,
beautiful.
sir. Good stuff.
But yeah, but like my point is, you can't take that away from me.
Correct.
Because of your words, and you're not knowledgeable of what is considered a pro. But anyway, I went on that tangent.
But listen, that can be talked about like for hours. Like we could literally be here like sharing hours and hours worth of knowledge or experiences of just like what it takes to kind of be like, people think like that, I want to do this, I want to do that. There's a lot of stuff that goes into trying to make your dreams happen or whatever you're trying to do, man. So I think that like I don't even know where to go for right now. Like, what was the question, brother?
No.
So much.
So much. Yeah, no. So let's talk about I have to cut it off in like 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah,
so
that's cool.
I mean, you got time. That's plenty of time for you to tell story. Yeah. I just wanted to, because I got to call at 10. But your experience. Let's talk about like how you got. Let's do this. Let's talk about the how you got to Ireland.
Yeah.
Your experience in being in a different country and enjoying, like, you know, like, cool. Go ahead, talk. I want you to talk.
Yeah. No, cool. We'll go from there. Yeah. So I ended up like meeting a coach in a hoop group Terry Kennedy. Now I talk to him like almost every week, and he won like 17 Super League championships over in Ireland. Like, if you might not think like, oh, what was basketball's not, yeah, it's not a big sport over there, but they were getting some D1 imports over there in the 70s, 80s. So there was definitely some packing out gyms, and they still do pack out gyms for Super League and Super League games. But I didn't know much about Ireland. My name is Irish, Cullen Donovan, and I wanted to travel. But the funny thing is, like, you don't really think of any of these experiences. They just naturally just happen, which is weird, man. Like, it just came, like things just really just fell into place. And I went over to Ireland, and I got to travel to Spain, Portugal, France through coach. Like we coached so coaching for the Titans my first year. I got to coach against some top youth teams of France, which Fassat. So I brought kids from Ireland. My club team in the spring brought teams to France, and we played a team called Fassat, which is in France. They had a big stadium, like what you'd see like Division I type stadiums there, and they had a guy just speaking in French. Everybody was like it was surreal. Just going first time being in a place where you're. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, real quick question.
Yeah, something to say.
Was that a junior team?
Correct. Yeah.
So what, I was with a Pro A or Pro B team there.
So it was, to be honest, I am not sure. It was just like it was like a European tournament, the youth tournament that was played there. So sorry, my bad. I'll go back to that. Rewind. I was coaching so I was the player coach for the Titans. So I played for the National League team and the second division Ireland, and then I also coached the junior teams of the club. So usually some depending on levels, there's levels to overseas basketball, like high level, and then there's mid level, and then there's low level, depending on the structure. So I was coaching in order to get my payment. I had housing, all that stuff. Like, so it was but in one of my vivid experiences while I was able to coach, we played against different teams in Ireland, and then we also had an end of the year tournament where we played in France with the youth team. And I just remember just playing against this team, and our first time bringing some kids from Ireland to go play a team from France, and we got smacked by like 70, 80 points. The kids come off crying and stuff like that. But it was just there being realized, like, the different development of the global scale of basketball, of how like basketball is a global sport, as we can see in around the world, in NBA and Euro League and here in the US. Like going back to your point about, oh, there's pro ball in Canada, like what? There's basketball players all over the world. And I think like in these kids 12 years old realize like, oh, they went back to Ireland, they're like, oh, we got to get better. So they were in the gym getting better. And like, so that's just teaching there. I was teaching life lessons like, hey, listen, fellas, we got to get back to get to work. And so that was my coaching side of things and playing. And I was just in the gym late at night, getting work in, and because it was a surreal moment, just being able to play basketball in a different country and living a dream that I had, and I continued to work and came home, reached out to more people, and I got an opportunity to go to Thailand. I was playing with coaching at a basketball academy, and I also got to train with some pro teams over there. There's some hoopers in Asia and Ireland. They're like
No, there is like, so quick question about Ireland. So let's talk about just really quickly, because it's funny, because I think it was 2 years ago. That's why you might have been there. I was recruiting a kid, can't remember his name. He was a 7'1" kid, like he was tall, lanky.
Yeah, Kian. Yeah, Kian. Yeah.
That's his name. You see, that's a small country.
No. I'm sure there's not too many 7-footers around. Not too many 7-footers around there. But like, go ahead. My bad. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. The reason why, like I said, I just wanted to get your synopsis, just like what, you know, how's the scene, because I was at Fort Union Military and I was looking. I needed a center, and I don't know how I came across this guy who knew a guy in Ireland, and he had two players. He had him and then another kid that was like 6'6", somewhat athletic. I can't remember the kid's names.
Yeah.
If I go through my WhatsApp, I might be able to find the conversation.
Yeah.
But
man, I'm the Irish guru now. No,
yeah, go ahead. Oh yeah. No, I just what, you know, like, yeah, I know you said there's talent there, but just like whatchamacallit? I forgot where I was going with this question. I just opened up WhatsApp. Just tell me, like, what did you see as the difference between like the Ireland kids you worked with, and then, you know, like you said, basketball is global. Like France has strong pro leagues, you know, and then Asia has, like, you know, a lot of good leagues too. What do you think? Oh, John Fennerly, Kieran Quinn. Is that his name?
John Fennerly. Kieran, yeah, CIAN.
No, this one is internet connection unstable. Hopefully those. KIERAN Quinn.
Kieran Quinn.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, because there are some players that are.
My bad. The kid's name is James Gormley.
Yeah, James Gormley. Yeah, there's some good young. Yeah, so he probably plays for. Listen, so in Ireland, there's a few good clubs. There's a few big clubs that have a good club structure, which they get a lot of. They have some good coaches, and they do develop their players. So I mean, some of those kids are playing in UHart. They're playing for University of Pitt. Like there's a guy playing for, and a player playing in Louisville. So like this, it's a small country, so you're not gonna. It's in the basketball is not huge, but when you do get to a small gym, you pack, like there's games that are packed out and they're cheering and loud. Like it's a different environment, and like it's a small environment, but it's also they take care of you, and they love the sport, and it's so those that are in the basketball grand scheme of things over there, they love the basketball, and it's I don't know, I enjoy it, and there's some good people over there, so it's there's some talents coming. It's coming.
Yeah, like I said, like this is what I said, and I went to China also like 2 years ago too. And like the difference between, like, the only thing that China's lacking is, in my opinion, like really good coaches.
Yeah.
Right. That's why they pay so much for an American to come in and teach. Yeah. Like it's crazy how much money you can make in China but you got to do it the right way. Like there's got to be the right right the type of development. And I think like when I went there with DJ, like DJ was like a freaking superstar there. Like it was crazy. They treated him like he was an NBA player. Like they, there was like the gym was packed with coaches trying to learn, and then after, like, he was taking nonstop pictures. It was crazy. But like what I'm saying is the sport's getting global, and they're starting younger. I was working with kids fourth and fifth, middle school, high school, and I was lucky enough to be the area I was like the top program in China, or not China, in their province. They were like 12-time champions. They haven't lost the championship in 12 years. So it was just like they do stuff like Micah and DJ and Tyler Ralph, Jordan Lawley to keep educating themselves and then getting better so they can further progress their kids. And like they have some athletes. It's just about, it's going to be time. Like 10 years, the US, we got to stay on top of our game because the rest of the world is starting to catch up.
And that's one thing is which I talk to a lot of coaches now who are over in Europe too. And the grassroots basketball here, there's not one way to teach the game too. And I think that's what's kind of, which there's a lot of coach development which needed to be doing, but the grassroots is just, like Kobe Bryant touched on it. Rest in peace, the GOAT. But he touched upon it a lot of just how he played European basketball growing up too, but the skill development there is they put a lot more time into that instead of games. And that's the biggest thing here. Kids don't want to put in effort into the games or anything like that. They want to, put more emphasis on games and playing rather than the skill set and developing their skills of shooting, passing, reading the game, all that stuff, which that's where you and I come into place to be able to teach that.
Exactly. And to your point, like, when I went to Lithuania, like I got to see, I was at the Sabonis Academy, Adrunas Sabonis. So he's the father of Sabonis on the Pacers right now. Yeah. And he's like a legend in Lithuania, like an absolute legend. So he has the Sabonis Academy, which is the gym we were using. So where I was, and I was able to witness their youth program. Like it was only for like, 10, 15 minutes, but the amount of, skill they do, and I was like, I asked the guy, like, can you ask him how long they've been going? They were like, yeah, this is the end of 2-hour workout of straight skills. Like they really, and this is where I agree with like what we were talking about before, styles of training. So right, you have game development, you have skill development, you have a combination of both. So like a Micah Lancaster style, which is who I kind of represent working at Revolution Basketball. I really love his stuff for, kids that are learning the game, right? You need to understand having the footwork, Matt. Kids need to understand how to move their feet. If a kid knows how to move and then make a simple dribble, you're already ahead of the rest of the kids you're going to play against because they don't have access to this training, and then you have all these other methods to incorporate more skill. And then when you get to like, I would say about the 5th grade, 6th grade level, and then we start incorporating with all that skill building. Hopefully they did, 3rd, 4th, 5th grade. Like this is a great example of it. I have one kid who's in 5th grade now. Kid is picked up things so naturally. I started training him in kindergarten. Kid picks up can do all the drills I do it in 5th grade. I'm just like, dude, why aren't you dominating? But now, like I picked up on it like 2 years ago. I'm like, the mom was saying it's not really translating. And I'm like, because it's the mental aspect now. It's like studying the game. Like, I mean, he's still very young. I can't stress he's in 5th grade. Yeah. But he's just so far ahead skill wise, using left hand, doing hezzies and stepping back as a 5th grader that I wasn't doing until after college.
Mm-hmm. I never did any of that stuff. Yeah, I never did.
So now it's like, all right, I did teach him. I gave him this bag. Now I'm kind of fine tuning the bag to where it will translate in a game. So that's an example of why I think skill, like you said, skill building at a young age is so important. Then you got to translate, you got to adapt. Kind of like, this is one of my biggest pet peeves is coaching. When coaches try to force a style on a group of kids instead of adjusting to what they have as a group of players.
Yeah.
You got to figure out something that works. And I think that's where players and coaches are, that's the most successful teams. That's what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Kids
Yeah.
buy in, they believe that the system is fit for them, and they play really well. So example would be, I mean, they fell off a little bit, but like Richmond, they were killing it this
Bridgewater.
year. Yeah, Rich. And I got to see them work literally 2 years ago when I was in Fort Union. I got to see them practice and how they work. Coach is really good. He was really, really good. Chris Mooney, I think. Knows his stuff. Love it. But the thing was, like, they were behind in everybody else in the A10. Now look at them. I mean, obviously it's a COVID year, but like it's still a cultivation of what they've been building. It takes a little bit of time.
Yes.
But yeah, so I mean, and then the last thing, so last question, and then I'm gonna hit you with a couple of, fun random questions that I want you to answer.
Let me grab my charger real quick. 2
Yeah,
seconds.
go ahead.
2 seconds. I need to figure out where it is. It's right here. Hold up.
Yeah, no, you good.
Cool. We good.
Yeah, no, just to keep talking. So talk about Asia. Like, what was the experience? I know it was only 4 months, but that's still 4 months. I was in China for 2 months, and I'll never forget a single day there. Right.
Yeah.
So like 4 months is twice as long as I was there. And, obviously, like, a lot probably happened with food and the lifestyle and, being different in a heavy populated area, particularly, being American in a different, countries. It's also an experience. So like, yeah, just to briefly talk about that.
Yeah. Nah, it was cool. It was, the flight over there was interesting, man. It was like I flew into Korea or something like that, and then flew over. So it was like 12 hours, and then another 7-hour flight. Connect like I mean, just going out and realizing there was one of the first time in my life where I was first time not many people spoke English. Like, you know what I'm saying? You're surrounded in a culture where it's the first time you're completely out of your comfort zone. In Ireland, like, people spoke English, so it was good. And then now I'm just like, okay, all right, now I have to make a little adjustment. And it was interesting. Like, just all the motorbikes over there. Like, you pull up, people are driving motorbikes all over the place, and you have like the T. I took the T train to like 12 different international schools throughout the city of Bangkok, and then I ended up going and I met some American coaches, European coaches that were at the basketball academy, and then I also will go to like the Thailand Mono Vampires, which is the one of the best teams over there, and they play in the Asian Basketball League, or did play in the Asian Basketball League. So we trained against the Thailand national team, and we also practiced against some of the other local pros who played in different parts of Asia. And the basketball we played pickup at some local outdoor gyms, which had our outdoor courts had some like clay courts, and got like playing some sports that I've never even seen before. And it was just, and street food was the best. Like just pulling up down the street before you get onto the tee or something like that. You have fresh fruit and a whole bunch of like, it was just a totally different environment. You have people driving on top of trucks and family of 4 riding a moped. Like, so you're just like, we're definitely blessed here. And I think that was the biggest takeaway that I took, is that we're very blessed in the U.S. of what we have in our situations, and taking that experience over there. It was a great. I loved it. It was cool. And then I ended up going to New Zealand. It was a totally different vibe in Asia. So it was.
How long were you in New Zealand for?
I was there for 5 months. So I was in New Zealand right after that. So I was in Thailand for 4 months, and then I was talking to a coach in New Zealand who coached at the Titans, which he coached there for 5 years prior. But he's originally from New Zealand. So I flew right from Thailand over to New Zealand in January of that same year, and I stayed there for 5 months, and then that's when I ended up getting back to Ireland the following year. So New Zealand was beautiful, one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. Like, it was gorgeous. And I was coaching at his basketball academy in local Wellington region. and helping to grow that sport and stuff like that there. And which yeah, I've been blessed with where I've been going, bro.
Yeah,
And
man.
it was just a vision of trying to just continue to be persistent of where I wanted to go and what I want to do. So we'll see where it goes next, but
hopefully the COVID things chill and you can get back on the road. And that's really a blessing. Like that's one of my goals, is to be able to go overseas more again, just to as a trainer and build that brand, like my brand. Asia, they love basketball in Asia. And just for people that don't know, that what was the league again? Oceania.
Yeah, so Asian, so ASEAN, and it's like 7 teams from all different Asia, from Thailand to China to Singapore to but it's like, and they pack out the gyms. They had some high level guys play in that league, and there's some very good like hoopers, like, so
Yeah,
that played.
You said the EASL, right?
No, this was ASEAN.
Oh, AS. Okay.
But hold on, what were we talking about?
I followed. No. The reason why I brought that up, because I followed. Do they follow me back?
That was a top level team, but
do.
I was.
No, this is not a team. Well, this is not a team. This is a league. It's a super
organization.
League.
Yeah.
It's a super league where they have the great like China, Japan, South Korea, and the Philippines. So it's like, it's kind of, I would say, almost like a Euro league for the Asian countries.
So this was that's probably a separate entity. Then they have like the local TBL, which is the Thailand Basketball League, and then in New Zealand they have their local league, and then they probably play in a regional league as well too. So with Australia, but yeah, there's leagues all over, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
that's what I'm saying. And like me being in China, there's this thing called what do they call it? Is it bully ball? Not bully ball.
Moneyball tournaments.
Moneyball, right?
I heard about
Yeah, money. So you did hear about Moneyball, yeah.
Yes, you get paid. Yeah.
It's crazy.
And it's like one of my friends went to a remote part of China in like farmland, and there was people just. He was like him, and then another pro, and then 2 locals just playing, 3 other locals playing against some like 5 imports or something like that. And it was just, he's like, bro, it was ugly, but it was fun.
Yeah, like these people, like, they pay mad money to get imports to come in just to play and win, just to say they won. And it's just like, you could make, my translator in China was telling me, like, you could make on a tournament for a good day, like you could make like 20,000 RMB, which comes out to almost like, $3,000-4,000 in a weekend.
Yeah.
Like in a weekend, like it's crazy.
And then sign your autographs. Yeah.
They're like, like they treat you like it's crazy. Like I got people taking pictures of me as a basketball trainer. And it was just like, dude, I signed autographs of the kids I work. The kids asked for autographs. I'm like, they wanted to.
They don't see people like the West in the Eastern world, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, in the Western world. Excuse me, in the Western world. Like it's.
No, they're the East.
They're Eastern, right?
We're Eastern. Yeah, they're Eastern.
Yeah, we're Eastern. My bad.
Yeah. We're Western. They're Eastern. Yeah.
So it's.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. Like, well, yeah, like it's crazy. Yeah, I'm surprised we didn't have this podcast episode sooner. It's great. All right, so I'm gonna end soon. I'm just gonna ask you a couple questions. I saw this one on the PJF podcast with Devin the Lab literally just like yesterday. So I want to ask you top five players, ball handling skills of all time.
Ooh, all time. Steph, Kyrie, Pete Maravich.
I respect that. Yeah.
I would say John Stockton, because he was the assist master of all time. And then Allen Iverson. Yeah.
I like that. Like, I gotta say Kyrie's number one.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, without a doubt. I can agree with Steph. The one person that I think
Penny
I gotta like in depth throw it through in there too. It's like you gotta put Jamal Crawford, I think.
Yeah.
Jay Craw. But
His behind the back where you go to
yeah,
the paint, the behind that
that,
was that.
that'll forever be a move. Like you can't. It's
No,
crazy. I'm trying to think who else. Like the other person, like there's a lot of good ball handlers,
there's
but
too
like,
many. Yeah, there's a lot. There's
it's
a
a
lot of
lot.
them.
But anyway, the most interesting dish you had overseas.
Ooh, that's tough. So in Thailand, I didn't have this. I didn't have this, but they have scorpions on like a stick or something like that. So I was like, nah. So that was one thing I was not having. But I had duck. So I have like in Ireland. So we went to Asian cuisine and when I was in Letterkenny. So I didn't really talk about that too much, but I was in Letterkenny as well, another part where I was a player coach over there and studying for my master's as well. But I didn't end up finishing my studies, but that's a story for another day. But we still played and compete. But the best, we had fried duck, which was cool. I never had that, and I mean I'm sure you can get that here as well. But it was nice. It was my first time trying that. So
Yeah,
I'm sure
no,
there's other dishes.
duck is really good. I had duck in China. They were the way they had it, like they had like it was crazy. They had the open oven and they had like the duck like hanging over the fire, like kind of
What?
like yeah, and they slow rolled it and it was just like yo, it tasted so good, like it was nice and soft and tender. So yeah, it was really good. But all right, so who's the most influential basketball player for yourself?
I would say Steve Nash. Steve
Okay.
Nash, like I watch his film almost every day. So I watch his pick and roll highlights. I wake up as the first. You go to my YouTube setting right now, and he's the number one guy I watch film on. He's one of I don't know, just his ability to read the game and understanding. And I watch film a lot more now than I have ever, and that's I just. But growing up, Jason Kidd was one of my favorite. He was my like go-to. I would be in my room playing, like had a hoop in my room upstairs and shooting on my little mini basket. So he was my go-to guy growing up. But Steve Nash is watching his film almost every day or weekly. Yeah. So.
Yeah, Steve Nash. That's somebody I'm gonna try to get right now. Like I'm trying to get back into my film breakdown series. My next video I'm gonna do is with myself from Lithuania. I'm gonna break down a play, one of my highlights, and just like go over it. So the last question, like this is the most important one before I have to go. I have like 3 minutes to my call, but you talk to yourself, right? Let's say you have current you and younger you. What are a couple of things you would tell yourself? One thing, like yeah, basically advice you would give to yourself.
Cool. I would say be okay with being different than those around you, of sacrificing different things, staying in the gym, studying hard, surround yourself with good people, and continue to work and develop, because there's a lot of naysayers out there no matter what you end up getting into. If you're LeBron gets hate. There's always some negativity in this world. There's going to be hiccups, but just continue to keep pushing forward no matter what you're trying to do. And if there's something that you're trying to get into, or you have a goal set in mind, write that stuff down and can take steps each day to improve yourself and just be the best person you can be. And you might set high goals for yourself. And if you don't reach them, it's all right. You might reach something a little bit lower, or you might even exceed the roof. So my biggest advice to myself is set high, lofty goals, and you never know where life could take you. So that's what I would do.
Another gem. I'm
dropping
I gotta
dimes.
figure out.
I'm dropping
Yeah,
dimes, dropping
dropping
gems.
dimes.
Yeah.
A lot of gems. That one might have to go on IG too. I gotta figure out which one. I gotta go back and watch this. But yeah, man. No, Cullen, thank you for taking the time out of your morning to talk. I know you gotta go to your training session. I got a call. But yeah, obviously we gotta connect on some basketball level stuff. And then obviously the more get on Clubhouse. Like if you haven't, we're trying to, me and a couple of trainers are trying to, for those who listen to this, trying to put a group of basketball trainers, and then we want kids to come in, and we want to just make a community where we just talk basketball, whether it's just hoops, networking, the thought process, or the, things that you would have to pay for from a trainer, like a mentorship from an aspect, we want to be able to give you guys for free. So like we're working on creating a club on Clubhouse, and going from there. But thank you guys for listening. It's like I said, please watch this. This is a great one. Thank you for listening to this. We appreciate you. See ya. Thank you again for taking the time and talk, and keep grinding, everybody. Stay safe during this time as well, and keep grinding. No days off.